will feel confident, will feel easy about this, so that they will be interested in learning this. So I understand that the existing materials are written completely in Indonesian, and this is not quite
mitos kesederhanaan bahasa. Betul, kadangkala ketika mitos kesederhanaan bahasa itu dihantarkan kepada publik, publik akan bertanya tentang kompleksitas dari bahasa itu sendiri. Yang selanjutnya dia jatuh pada penghukuman bahwa bahasa yang kurang kompleks adalah bahasa yang kurang ilmu.
She doesn't know what she's talking about. Maybe she learned only like a beginner's Indonesian from just one book, and then she just thought, oh, this is easy, that's it. Yeah. So so that's why I agree with Muhammad, what's your name? Muhammad Royce Rinaldi. Yeah. So please be careful when you try to promote the language. Don't emphasize on the easiness only, because all languages are complex.
I've been to Indonesia many times. I've met many Indonesian. I think as far as we are concerned, the Indonesian language is the Asian language, is the Malay language. It's just a dialect that they speak, using some terminologies of their own. We also speak in our style, using our own terminologies, and there's no problem at all.
Good morning, BST time, and good afternoon, waktu Indonesia Barat time. Thank you for joining the stream of culinary, culture, and ethnics. And as you have been informed, but I'd like to inform you again that this event is sponsored by the UK Indonesia Consortium for Interdisciplinary of Sciences, IndiHome, Telkomsel, University of Nottingham, and Pupuk Indonesia Persero. Our topic today is the development of Bahasa Indonesia in foreign countries, with the subtopic proposing Bahasa Indonesia as one of the international languages. So the first time I heard about this idea is from the former chair of Badan Bahasa, Pak Dadang Suhendar, during the BIPA training in Bogor. And some part of me felt very excited and honored to be a part of this agenda. However, I believe that it is inevitable that there's also a question whether this mission is feasible to be achieved. Our first speaker, Professor Amin, would you present your presentation? The time is yours.
Share with you the slides here, and this is the topic that I would like to share with you: promoting Indonesian language as an international lingua franca. And I think you have also known already the meaning of lingua franca. This is the language that is used as the medium of communication, particularly in the business interaction or in general communication, for general communication purposes. And as the moderator has mentioned just now, I just grabbed this slide from my other presentation about the comparison between the opportunities and the challenges of teaching Indonesian language overseas. On the left-hand side is the peluang. Yeah, peluang is the opportunities. We have at least 4 opportunities here. One is the existence of Indonesian education and cultural attaché in 19 countries at the moment, and also the presence of the Indonesian representatives in more than 130 countries. And that's one of the biggest opportunities that we have. And also the second one is that we have the communities that are very interested in learning Indonesian language and culture, especially those who were granted the beasiswa Dharmasiswa or Dharmasiswa scholarships. And like in the UK itself, more than 200 recipients of Dharma Siswa scholarships are found in the UK. And thirdly, we have Indonesianists in some universities and also in the research centers overseas. And the last one is the commitment of the Indonesian government through our language agency in the Ministry of Education, Culture, Research, and Technology. So these are the 4 opportunities that we have. On the other hand, we have the challenges. The challenges, the challenge number 1, the first challenge is that in some regions, Indonesian is not, or Indonesia is not a country that is very well known to everyone, because Indonesia is always or becomes a less known and less exposed country. And this is unlike to situations in Australia, for example. Indonesia is the neighbor of Australia, and Indonesia is very well known to Australia. But to some other countries, like to people in the UK, Indonesia is less known. And the second one is the status of Indonesian language and European languages, or the language in the East Asia. And the third one, another challenge is whether we have to teach Indonesian language or to teach Indonesian culture, because these are 2 different things. Yeah. The fourth one is the skills, the competency, and the availability of Indonesian language teachers. Yeah. Whether we would like to empower or to use the local people, or we have to invite teachers from Indonesia, which will be very expensive. So my apologies for presenting this slide in Indonesian language, because I just grabbed this to respond to what the moderator has just mentioned about the question, whether it is possible, whether this is feasible to have the target to make Indonesian become an international language. So this is my main presentation, actually. Who are we? Speakers of Indonesian or Malay language in numbers, and we have here 6 issues to be discussed, to be addressed.
Thank you very much, Professor. I mean, it's a very remarkable presentation, and it gives us information that this mission is measured by our government. Now we move on to our next speaker, Dr. Suchan, grammar. So to Professor, to Dr. Suchan, the time is yours.
Okay, can you all see my screen, yeah?
Yes.
Okay, good, thank you. Right, so today I'm going to talk something a bit more specific, because Pak Amin already mentioned quite a lot about how to learn Indonesian. And today it's specifically, I'm going to talk about the importance of intention in Indonesian grammar. Okay, right, so language and social relation. I just think that when we learn language, we also have to teach students, especially if they come to university, about Indonesian cultures too, because language and cultures are inseparable. So I think it is important for them to know this, to realize this, to understand this, and to analyze language in relation to culture and vice versa. Yeah, and culture in relation to language too. So that's why I always emphasize to students that when you study language with me, you also have to learn the cultures. Okay. So the different degrees of formality, seniority, and politeness in Indonesian language has been discussed widely, especially in relation to Indonesian pronouns, Aku, dia, kamu, anda, elo, kami, kita, etc. However, there's at least one factor that has not been discussed widely, the importance of intention. So whether you do something deliberately or not, whether you do something for others or not, for others or for oneself, for yourself, and whether you want to ask for help or give permission, these can be indicated in Indonesian grammar. Okay, so many people actually already said, oh, Indonesian grammar is really simple. Yeah, and in fact, several language learning authors say that, oh, you know, learning Indonesian is easy and the grammar is simple, and somehow they also undermine Indonesian grammar a bit because of this. It is true that basic Indonesian grammar is quite simple, but once you go to advanced Indonesian, it can actually get quite complicated, and it's actually it's getting more and more interesting for me, because by doing that, then you learn more about the cultures. Okay, let me keep going now. Now, in a society that still pays attention to hierarchy, seniority, as well as kinship, such as in Indonesia, the expression of intention may help someone to react to interlocutors. For instance, whether the person wants to be formal, respectful, or casual, this is often reflected in the language, in Indonesian language, okay? Also, whether we allow someone to do something or requesting someone to do something may give more guidance to the interlocutors how to react or to behave. I'm going to explain this further now in 3 grammatical cases in Indonesian. And the first is the word please, and the second is the prefix ter, and the third is affixes mekan. Now, the word please. In English, you only know please for quite a lot of things, actually. But in Indonesian, this word can be translated into silakan, tolong, harap, coba, and suffix lah. And there are actually more, but I only, list this depending on the intentions of the speaker. Because of the limited time, I will only discuss the first 3. Silakan, tolong, and harap. Okay. Otherwise, it will last forever, my talk. So the word silakan. The word is used to invite someone to do something, or to grant someone permission to do something, or giving them our approval. It is like saying to someone who is about to ask for our approval to do something, yes, you can, or you are allowed. Now, let's see these examples. Apa saya boleh duduk di kursimu? May I sit on your chair? It's silakan. Yeah, not tolong or harap or coba or no, it's silakan.
I'm going to go to the third speaker, Professor Wan Abu Bakar. Are you here? Would you like to share?
Yes, I'm ready.
Oh, okay. All right. The floor is yours, Professor. Please.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, and a very good evening to everyone here. I'm very glad to be able to speak today, but as you know, people like me are no linguists. We are working in the social sort of movement, getting people together, and as far as we are concerned, we found that using some lingual activities could actually get people around. For example, if you're talking about getting Malaysian and Indonesian together, there are many things that we can fight. Every time we meet each other, there will be confusion between us. We can easily find issues to fight, but we found that using activities like the literary activities, kegiatan sastra, using the language is one of the things that bring us together. We are no linguists. I'm an engineer. I'm working with people who are non-linguists as well. But we think using linguistic activities, using literary activities, that's what we have done. And we hope this to bring people together, not only people from Malaysia, Indonesia, but people all over the Asian region. We form a society called GAKSA, Gabungan Komunitas Sastra ASEAN, Asian Literary Communities, okay, that combine people from the 5 nations to work under one organization through an activity, which is the easiest would be the literary activities. We have activities to write poetry, we publish books in short stories, we publish novel, all this written by people from different countries, the different Asian countries, people from Brunei, people from Singapore, we go together and have activities in Indonesia. Our friends, the literary friends in Indonesia, welcome us and organize the activity. At other times, we organize such meetings, such literary activities, poetry reading, short story reading, etc. in Kuala Lumpur, and people from the different nations get together. We finally form GAKSA, the Gabungan Komunitas Sastra ASEAN, which is hosted by the leaders from the different nations. We have the center in Banten, Cilegon, Banten. We bought a house there. It costs us quite a lot of money, but we are very rich. It's 100,000 ringgit. We bought a house. We call it Rumah Sastra ASEAN, the ASEAN Literary House, where we have our activities. Members from the different country come to the house to have activities. But unfortunately, because of the pandemic now, the house is a bit quiet. We think that in future, we should be able to have more activities to use the house and to get people together.
From the participants, for our speakers, we would like to invite active participants in this field. We have 2 active participants. The first one is Professor, is he here already? Our Adikbud, Pak Arif Rahman.
Yeah, this is also, I mean, your question is like asking me to report what's going on here. And that's also, I want to report to Pak Amin, yeah, because Pak Amin is in the center of all activities that Bahasa Indonesia we are doing here. Number one is because of pandemic, we really, got problems of mobile. It's not difficult. It's not easy to go from one city to another city. So we just did what we can do. So we got one Zoom class in Bahasa Indonesia, and we plan to have another more offline classes, like hopefully this semester, yeah, from September. And the problem also is because starting from August, we got a problem with the cut of the budget, so it's getting, more difficult. But we have tried to do our best to kind of like run or organize Indonesian classes. Hopefully, this September we'll have 3 classes in 3 different cities in Scotland. So we kind of have like one in Aberdeen, other in Glasgow, and the other in Edinburgh. And then we plan also to have 1 classes in hopefully in Oxford. Other classes would depend on the people who are interested in Indonesian language, because I think the problem is because we have like at least 2 targets. So one is the children of diaspora, and the other is native speakers. Yeah, so it's big. Yeah, I mean, I have to really, I won't try to be specific, but it's probably not easy, because the problem with the diaspora is the diaspora and the children of the diaspora is about identity, about like knowing their parents' far away land in Indonesia. So they are here, but they have to they have to remember that their parents' country is still there and it's different from what they're experiencing today every day in their life. So While the native speaker is probably quite different because they don't have really any memories with the Indonesia, so maybe they don't know anything about Indonesia. We have to start from the very beginning. Yeah, and what else can I say? Okay, in terms of the materials that we're going to present to the learners, is something about, I mean, there are two aspects that we try to present. So number one is about Indonesians in faraway land, and number two is a representation of Indonesia in the UK. Yeah, so there are two things that we should kind of like let the people know about, because maybe children of diaspora, they may not know that there are kind of like a representatives of Indonesian in the UK. What I mean is like the embassy, yeah. That the embassy, we have like several different functions. We have 3-4 different attaché, and they have their own, like job specifications, things like that. So I think to introduce the embassy to the people in UK, to me, is very important. So they realize that there is the Indonesian existence, like representations in the UK. So those are things that we plan to do for the next semester. And also because the development in Indonesia is very, very fast now. So there's been probably drastic changes and probably drastic progress. It's probably not easy to use the probably old materials. This is what I would like probably, but I mean, to update the materials, because yeah, of course it's quite difficult, but I mean, if you want to use the materials that is available in the, what is it, bipa.kemdikbud.go.id. I mean, some of the materials are about Indonesian in the past. Yeah, well, we have already done, many. I mean, Indonesian has achieved, I think, hopefully, yeah, like really kind of like modern, or probably even more modern than.
And our first, this is actually the third active participant, is Muhammad Rois Rinaldi. He is an Indonesian author and also book contributor.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Waalaikumsalam warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Saya izin berbahasa Indonesia. Tadi dikatakan oleh Prof. Armin, Prof. Aminuddin, oleh Dr. Suchen dan Prof. Irwan. Aminuddin memaparkan bagaimana persebaran bahasa Indonesia, terutama wabil, khususnya tentang BIPA itu sendiri sebagai sebuah program yang saya sendiri pun melihat itu adalah program yang sangat luar biasa untuk mengenalkan bahasa Indonesia sebagai bahasa yang dapat dimiliki oleh warga dunia. Artinya ini hendak memasyarakatkan bahasa Indonesia kepada warga dunia. Sejalan dengan itu, Prof. Suchen memaparkan tentang mitos kesederhanaan bahasa. Betul, kadangkala ketika mitos kesederhanaan bahasa itu dihantarkan kepada publik, publik akan bertanya tentang kompleksitas dari bahasa itu sendiri. Yang selanjutnya dia jatuh pada penghukuman bahwa bahasa yang kurang kompleks adalah bahasa yang kurang ilmu, adalah bahasa yang kurang menarik untuk diantarkan sebagai bahasa dunia. Yang saya sebut, pada akhirnya saya mengatakan di balik mitos kerumitan bahasa, kompleksitas bahasa, ada mitos kesederhanaan bahasa. Ada mitos kesederhanaan bahasa, ada mitos kompleksitas bahasa. Karena sejatinya bahasa adalah ilmu itu sendiri. Dan Prof. Irwan memaparkan tentang bagaimana konsepsi bahasa ASEAN di ASEAN sebagai giat sastra di ASEAN. Dan saya sendiri pun menjadi saksi mata tentang bagaimana persebaran bahasa Indonesia di ASEAN. Termasuk tentang buku yang akan diterbitkan oleh teman-teman PPIUK, Bahasa Indonesia untuk Bahasa ASEAN. Itu adalah suatu hal yang lebih maju ke depan, karena terdahulu kita mengenal wacana-wacana tentang Indonesia sebagai bahasa ASEAN. Lahirnya wacana dalam buku ini, saya pikir adalah jalan yang lebih maju satu tahap untuk menghadirkan bahasa Indonesia sebagai warisan warga dunia. Terlepas dari soal itu, saya sangat sepakat dengan semua pandangan yang sudah disampaikan. Dari pandangan-pandangan itu muncul dalam kepala saya pertanyaan. Jika persebarannya sudah sebegitu masif, jika konsep kebahasaannya juga sudah bisa diantarkan sebagai perdebatan keilmuan, Jika bahasa Indonesia itu sendiri juga sudah sungguh-sungguh populer di ASEAN, bahkan sekarang melalui BIPA sudah mendunia, pertanyaannya adalah, mungkinkah sebuah dunia menerima bahasa Indonesia dengan melepaskan kepemilikan bahasa itu sendiri? Kita tahu bahasa Indonesia sebagai bahasa negara Republik Indonesia, Negara Kesatuan Republik Indonesia adalah bahasa negara, bahasa resmi, bahasa pemersatu. Itu adalah wacana internal kenegaraan kita sebagai produsen, sebagai pemilik bahasa Indonesia. Ketika bahasa Indonesia hendak ditawarkan kepada dunia menjadi warisan warga dunia, mungkinkah wacananya berubah dengan wacana bahwa bahasa Indonesia dari Indonesia menjadi warisan warga dunia? Jika mungkin, bagaimana penalarannya?